Hi everybody, welcome to South Olympic Branch Update number 68. This is Larry. So, at the end of the last episode, or during the last episode, I was talking about a stalling issue I was having in auto-reversing between my outer main up on the upper here and the yard. Not too long after I uploaded that video, I had this idea that I should try just connecting that section straight to a booster without actually like running it through a PSX or other kind of circuit breaker. Well, that resolved the issue. So I know that there's something in the setup of the breaker for the yard that is that's causing that issue. Question is, what do I need to do to change it? I've got some ideas to work on trip current, but right now it's working, and I'm gonna leave that probably for a little bit while I work on some other things that are more fun. We're at the Monroe show, and one of the guys that's kind of a leader in the United Northwest group is Keith Lyons. And there's Keith right there. He has a awesome N-scale Northern Pacific layout that's being built, and he's been working on this for many years. It's like 3 decks, and I'm pretty sure the room's about 30 by 30, but I'm not absolutely certain about that. Here I'm going to pan around and show you some of the scenes that I saw when I was visiting Keith's house with a bunch of other people on Saturday evening. Hey, there's my friend Mike Stepner taking pictures. And as I pan around and look, and this is a model of the Northern Pacific trestle that was, or I should say is, still up on Stampede Pass. It's a really cool thing to see in person, but you have to drive up some logging roads and you can't get up there in the winter. This is another view of that same trestle. As you can see, I'm really impressed by it. And he's got a great layout, and it was great to see the updates that he's gotten to since the last time I was there. Here at the UNW show in Monroe, and my friend Brian Pickering let me borrow the UWT-50 from TCS. I got that set up with the layout, using it to run this train. It's a pretty good experience so far. It's a little bit smaller than 100. Okay, so I've been using the TCS UW50 for a while now, UWT50. And so this has a rotary encoder knob, so there's a notch on it, and there's this little indention. I find that this is pretty handy for controlling stuff, and gives you a good feel so you can use it without really looking at it, which is something that I like to be able to do when I'm operating a train. And nice controls. It's a little bit smaller than the 100, which is okay. Anyway. And Fred's PCC car. Here comes Andy's version of grunt, 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 more power. Here comes the train again. So that's the
Is Jake gonna start taking off?
I suppose I should get out of caboose. Anyway, Now I'm going to make this guy famous.
My bad.
In the Old West movies, you know what that meant. On my YouTube channel, it just means you got broadcasted.
Oh, well.
So I'm back from the Monroe show. Got back last night, and today I'm just kind of chilling and working on some layout stuff while I get ready to go back to work tomorrow. The shows because I'm almost always involved with some kind of modular group and setting up and tearing down. I always take one of my vacation days the next day after I get back, so I don't have to almost always. So I don't have to rush right back to work. I got a day to kind of monkey around the house and do things. But I wanted to show you guys some of this stuff I got at Monroe. These trees by Moose Creek. This company closed up shop when the guy retired a couple years back. Oops, there's a paintbrush. And really like these trees. And a friend of mine actually had several bags of them. Emphasis on the word had. It was Friday night as we were setting up, we were finished setting up, we were talking about going to dinner. I ran into Mike, and he's pulling these out of a box, and I'm like, oh, I'll take those, and I'll take those, and I'll take those. And so I ended up with several bags of these trees, which you can't get anymore. So it was really great to get a hold of those. And I'm looking forward to creating some cool scenes with that stuff. This, by Details in Scale, is a lumber load. These aren't very cheap. This one's like $32. But the guy makes them himself down in southwestern Washington, I think, or Oregon. And these are actually built to fit certain cars. For example, back up over here, see if I can actually I'll just grab the camera and show you guys. Okay, so this load that he makes is built for the Walthers GSC bulkhead flat car. And so as it was explained to me when I was talking to Dave at the show, the GSCs are on a slightly different prototype than the exact rail ones were. This is an exact rail car, and the bulkheads on this one are a little bit lower. So, like I was saying, this load is actually made specifically to work well with the Walthers GSC car. Now, the one that I was just showing you is made to fit the exact rail center beam car that was with the opera windows from a number of years back. And I actually have a few of these. I pre-ordered them and then bought a couple more when they were on sale. So, because they're not cheap and they're very delicate, so you don't really see me running them much because they're pretty, because they're so delicate, I don't take them to shows. And I don't have my lumber facility built yet, so there you have it. But these loads, I think, look really good. So I'm going to put the other one on the other side. The only problem is I wanted to do this on video, but it's such a tight fit, such a snug fit, that it takes two hands to do it. All right, so let's see if I can show you just how snug the fit on this thing is. So I get in here, and I'm having to kind of push it, right? And I can tell you, Dave got these really snug. As Bugs Bunny once said, "Yay, what a load!" Yeah, all right. Well, okay, that was kind of cheesy, but hey, those of you who know me know that that's, a good portion of my diet, and therefore, You kind of are what you eat. Anyway, it's an awesome looking load. Gives that car a lot of weight too. Anyway, onward and upward. Stumbled across one more Ford Tempo down there. I have some of these, but since I have my auto delivery facility on my 40HO modular group modules, and I have some of these already to be yet another one to help fill out the parking area there. I was watching Fred's Pacific Electric car, and I thought, you know, I used to really like trolleys. And today I remembered that I actually have a Peter Witt car. No, I guess you wouldn't call it a trolley necessarily, but still a fun little critter to watch go around the layout. And this is actually the first time this car's been on the layout. My friend Greg came by the other day, and we were doing a little bit of practice op session kind of thing on the at the Sassip Industrial Park. And while I was doing that, I started rethinking some things about the next industrial park, which is a chemical plant. And I was watching Greg try to operate it, and I'm thinking, you know, I don't want that back track to be as far back on that side as it is in this one. But since this is already laid, I thought I would go in and add some of my little cylindrical magnets that I've talked about before. They're the K&J 1/8 by 1/4 little magnets that I just drill an 1/8 inch hole for. And then I started practicing and seeing how they were going to work with my refrigerator cars back there. And I discovered that this one, I had cut the trip pins short. Something I used to do a lot when I didn't have my own home layout. And there was a lot of, there were some iffy situations on portable layouts that I was running on at the time. Anyway, so I'm having to replace these couplers, and that's what I was doing here. Knocked a stirrup off. Brain fart there. And I had to glue that back on too. Here I am back at the chemical plant again. I'm shortening up these turnouts, taking off some of the excess rail that I put into them, because I was looking at the quick stick and I thought, you know, I could make these a little shorter, and if I do that, then that track right there can be just a hair longer, which I'd like it to be, allowing it to flex out this way a little bit. And then these switches will line up, and I can get this this track laid in here. You know, I've still got a lot of work to do on these. I gotta gap these, I gotta drill holes for and solder on feeders, and drill holes and put in for the throw bars. And then I'll add a track out here. It extends out so a switcher and at least one car, maybe two. These are fairly short cars because they are chemical cars and short hoppers. And then make it so that I can pull those cars along and get them out of here. When my friend Greg came over, I think I mentioned this before, he was switching on the other side over there where the Satsup's industrial plant is. And I was looking at that, and it was kind of hard for him to reach back to the back. This side isn't as deep, and I look at it and I'm thinking, okay, that's a lot deeper of a seam over there. But I'm still thinking that maybe I won't go back as far with the track as I originally planned. I'll bring it up maybe about right here, and I think that should be a pretty easy arm's reach for whoever is working this seam. Also, he was bumping my touch triggers on the layout, so he was having a heck of a time doing that without actually getting the out without throwing those turnouts. So that has given me some thoughts about where I want to put the next panel for the controls over here. I want to try to get it so that it's not where you would reach to do that. And I think I'll have a better idea once I get this track laid out and I have it in a manual kind of switching fashion. So as I mentioned in previous videos, I had acquired a bunch of old Tortoises, and some of them have little tiny wires that were left soldered to them. Recently, I was attending a soldering demonstration by my friend Brian Pickering, and he mentioned that if you take the desoldering wick and you dip it in some flux, it will help it absorb the solder. I had never thought about this before, so I decided to try it. And here I'm using my desoldering braid, which before I knew this method was practically useless to me, to remove these little bits of wire from the paddle of this tortoise. You can see that once it heats up, things are coming off, and they're so small, the wire bits are so small that it's actually hard to see them and very hard to grip them with something that will allow me not to burn my fingers when I'm doing this. So this technique is, like I said, helping me clean the paddle off, and when I'm done with that, I will use some isopropyl alcohol to make sure that things are good to go. And here we are back with my jeweler's saw cutting gaps in these number 4 turnouts. I will also do one right there, whoops, right there. And then I got to do the 2 other turnouts. So of course, as usual, I've got the jeweler's saw fed through the turnout, and I'm almost through that last rail. Okay, you can see I'm about ready to add my feeder wires for the frog. I got my lengths of green wire. I got my solder, and my irons ready to go. I'm just going to add a little dab of solder to each one of these. That's really not enough. I think. There we go. And then I'm going to add one here. And one here. Oh, okay. Now I've had one of these things kind of slip on me when I did this, so I'm just going to turn them over and check out the point. Make sure the points still look good. And they do. Perfect. Okay, so then time to add that wire. Okay, you guys aren't going to be able to see this unless I turn it around like that. Well, even then you're not going to be able to see it. All right, that looks good. So when I'm done putting these wires on here, I'll just go over and add the or clean them up. I got a thing of, that doesn't look very good. Yeah, I was right. It's coming right back off of there. That's better. All right, cool. Good. We'll go over and clean up the turnouts after this with some isopropyl. And then we will be good to install them. All right, that joint looks a little cold, but it's holding. All right, good. So that's that. So I've got some of those turnouts in place, and now I've got to do some electrical planning because I'd like it to be a little neater than, say, that mess that's over there. So I think what I've got two 1 to 4 lever nuts that are screwed to the bottom of the layout piece there. And I've got two 1 to 4 over here. Now, these, I think what I'll end up doing is I'll come in with the feeders, or the feed for the track power. It'll go in here, and then it'll go out one of these. There's a pair of feeders that are behind this turnout right there, that turnout motor. And then, of course, each of these turnout motors need to have feeders connected to them. And that's for feeding the frog. And then we may need, and then out, oh, and then off this, so that's 1, 2, 3. So then after that, we will go off of there and go over to here. And hopefully that'll make a neat little jumper. I was hoping to get all of those tortoises and all of the feeders dropped in here today, but that just didn't happen. But I do have these turnouts placed, and those cars roll nice and smoothly through them. So I'm pretty proud of that. And that does look good. Well, that'll be it for episode number 68. Until next time, take care and have fun with your trains out there.